Once again, good afternoon from the Israeli-Syrian border. I am on top of Mount Bental. This is an Israeli bunker overlooking the Syrian side. Right behind me are the Syrian towns and villages, as well as Mount Hermon, which is snow-capped. Although we hear explosions and gunfire behind us, we feel more than secure. In fact, I'm here with 50 people, members of the Behold Israel Bible Prophecy Study Tour. 50 people from 7 different countries.
Hello!
As you can see, they're not that loud. And this is the right time for me to be able to address a very, very important subject that we keep hearing in the news in the last 48, 72 hours in regards to defiance of the Iranian regime when it comes to the Iran deal, the joke that I say, that was signed a couple of years ago between the Obama administration and the Iranians, and of course the defiance also of the United Nations Security Council. By the way, if during this live broadcast we will hear some more gunshots and explosions, we feel safe, so you need to feel safe as well. We need to remember how it all began. The Obama administration, which I'm so happy to say is no longer there, is responsible for Iran becoming an octopus in the entire region. It all started in 2009 when the masses went down to the streets of Tehran. More than 1.5 million people were out there demonstrating and protesting the evil Ayatollah regime that massacres people and tramples human rights on a daily basis. It's funny, we heard nothing from the Obama administration. We heard complete silence from the White House and the State Department. Just when it was needed, they were not there for the Iranian people. And what happened is, they had no problem throwing Mubarak under the bus, throwing the Tunisian government under the bus, throwing the Libyan government under the bus, with the excuse of abuse of human rights. Yet the Ayatollahs stayed in power and of course continued their defiance. It continued, of course, with the Iran deal in 2015, when Iran had access to dozens of billions of dollars, which some of it was given to it cash money in bags, like as if we are 200 years ago, you know, trading between merchants. You and I know that the only person that wants cash is a person that wants no traces of bank trails, and of course that money goes directly to fund terrorism. You need to understand that Obama's administration weakened the moderate Sunni regimes and Sunni people, which are 85% of the Muslim world, and strengthened more than ever before the Shiite axis that goes from Iran and continues with its long arms into Syria and Lebanon. So we're talking about a very interesting thing that Donald Trump had to basically inherit right now. Iran is out of control. Iran is strong. Iran feels that it can do whatever it wants. And Iran knows that so far it didn't have to pay for any of the violations of the agreement with America and the agreement or the United Nations Security Council resolution. In Lebanon and in Syria, Iran created Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a proxy of Tehran in Lebanon, and right now 90% of the Hezbollah soldiers moved into Syria to help Bashar al-Assad remain in power. In Yemen, the Iranians strengthened the Houthis. Who are the Houthis? This is a faction of the Shiites in Yemen. Houthis are named after Ibn Houth, which is their leader that was killed in 2004, and they are very, very vicious. These people are about to destroy most of Yemen. But the thing you may not know, the Houthis are actually placing their biggest threat on Saudi Arabia. Ladies and gentlemen, Saudi Arabia is armed to its teeth. We're talking about trillions of dollars worth of ammunition, weapons, and very, very sophisticated systems that were given or purchased by the Saudis, by the American army. But the problem is not the systems, it's who operates them. And the problem is not the army bases, it's who is inside them. And the Saudi soldiers are not the bravest soldiers in the world. And in fact, the long border that Saudi has with Yemen creates a very vulnerable area for the Yemenites to go in and take over pieces of land. And every time the Houthis are infiltrating into the Saudi territory, they go back with weapons worth millions of dollars freely given to them indirectly by America. So think about it. America is actually giving money to Iran. America is actually allowing Iran to do business, or I'm talking about past tense, Obama's administration gave Iran the deal that gave them now billions or trillions of dollars of business, and indirectly America armed the Houthi rebels in Yemen. And it's important that you understand that, because those Houthi rebels in Yemen fired rockets at American warships, at Saudi warships, and most likely, if Donald Trump will have any military confrontation with Shiites, it's not going to be with Iran, it is going to be in the Bab el-Mandab Strait, which are right there at the entrance into the Red Sea from the Indian Ocean, and this is where Yemen is located. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about in Saudi, the Iranians are controlling also some other rebels, and in Iraq, the Iranians created the Shiite militias called Hashab el-Shabi, the congregation of the common people, as well as Shiite military force. You see, Saddam Hussein's army was all Sunni. Saddam Hussein was a Sunni Muslim. What happened is, when America created a new army over there, America created a new army, and of course trained new people, slowly but surely the Shiites started taking over the army. And once most of the American troops left Iraq in the time of Obama, the Shiites completely took over. And what we have now is most of ISIS generals are ex-Iraqi generals that are Sunnis, and they are performing pretty well. So we're talking about Iran as an octopus. Iran in Lebanon, Iran in Syria, Iran in Saudi, Iran in Iraq, and Iran in Yemen. All that thanks to the Obama administration. And what we have today is a very interesting situation. A situation where Syria will never have peace. Why? Because Donald Trump is right now in a very interesting position. If he wants to fight ISIS, which is Sunni, he needs to strengthen the Shiites who fights them. However, the Shiites are Iranians. He cannot really support Iran. So whatever he does will always keep the Syrian front in danger, will always keep that area in trouble. And let me explain another thing. What's going on around here is not a political fight, it's a religious fight. We've been talking about it for months, maybe for years right now. The battle in the Middle East right now, where most people die, has nothing to do with Israel or the Palestinians. It has to do with Shiites and Sunnis. It has to do with Iran pulling the strings and Saudi Arabia pulling the strings. And in that whole situation, we eventually are going to get to a point, Israel is going to get to a point where we will have to take some very severe steps and measures in order to prevent them from getting all their anger aimed towards us. You probably heard that couple weeks ago, we found in the town of Mosul in Iraq a large storage of biological and chemical weapon. When the whole world was trying to tell the Americans that there is no weapon of mass destruction in Iraq, of course they were wrong. Saddam Hussein produced biological and chemical weapon. Just so you know, for those skepticals, we even found in Iraq during the Gulf War, the Second War, a huge storage of what is called yellow cake, which is uranium that is now in a solid state, ready to be move to the next level of being enriched for nuclear graded weapon. What I'm trying to say is that there is a lot of dangerous weapon in the region. The Assad regime has its own factories for biological and chemical weapon. The Saddam Hussein weapon was smuggled into Damascus. And as long as the war in Syria will continue, the danger that the wrong person will put his hands on that weapon and eventually will aim it towards Israel is growing bigger and bigger. Think about that. In 1990, 1991, after Saddam Hussein invaded into Kuwait, America invaded into Iraq. And guess what Iraq did? Iraq did not fire at the Americans. Iraq did not fire at the Kuwaitis. Iraq fired 39 Scud missiles at Israel. Every time they are pressed to the wall, the only thing they do is all their anger is directed towards us. And that brings me to Isaiah chapter 17, verse 1. Behold, the burden of Damascus. Damascus is going to cease from being a city. And I'm looking right now at the outskirts of Damascus right behind me. It's still standing, although 2/3 of it is empty. And the only third that is still inhabited is inhabited by scumbags. And we will have absolutely no problem, if needed, to annihilate that city, which for sure, I would say, innocent civilians are no longer there, if and should they put their hands on the wrong weapon and they will aim it towards us. A few weeks ago, as you know, we noticed that biological and chemical weapon came all the way from Iran, landed in the Damascus airport, and was on its way to the Hezbollah to be smuggled behind Mount Hermon all the way into Lebanon, so they will fire towards Israel. What Israel did, because of the existence of very sophisticated weapon systems that were freely given by Russia to the rebels, to the regime right here, the S-400 anti-missile or anti-aircraft batteries, Israel had to actually fire several surface-to-surface missiles from 300 yards from where I'm standing right now. We have a military base, and we fired several very precise rockets, and we destroyed that on the ground. I'm trying to say is this: Iran defies international agreement. The Trump administration, one of its major points is America first. We're not going to have troops back in the Middle East. It costs us money and it kills our soldiers for nothing. If anything, he will have to defend those straits for the sake of the oil flow in the entire world. My point is this: I'm not innocent, or I'm not naive to think that America is going to send troops to the Middle East anymore. We all know that it's not going to happen anymore. What's going to happen is Russia is going to eventually make a move the minute they will feel that it's the right time to get into Israel and to take the gas and the oil that we have here. And of course, the religious war will erupt once Iran, once Turkey, once Libya, and once Sudan will join the party. Ladies and gentlemen, Bible prophecy is unfolding before our very eyes. Not only that, Isaiah 17 is closer than ever. If I told you 5 years ago that the whole world is going to watch the city of Damascus almost completely destroyed, nobody would believe me. Today, it's not a dream, it's not fantasy, it's a fact. A city of more than 1 million people is almost completely empty and it's completely destroyed. But once they will put their hands on an unconventional weapon, the city won't be able to be inhabitable. And that's what Isaiah said in chapter 17, verse 1 and 2. We're watching before our eyes the defiance of Iran that will heat that whole pot right now, reaching the point of where Donald Trump will have to decide, am I sending troops or not? He already said he's not going to send troops. He, by the way, said also that he's not going to cancel the Iran deal, but he's actually going to somehow enforce it. The Obama administration so far, until their last day, ignored all the violations. Trump says, I will make sure they will follow up. And if they will not, we will impose sanctions and we will make sure that they will actually cancel the deal. No matter what is going to happen with the Iranians, the troops will not make it to the Middle East from America anymore. If anything, in the streets of Aleppo, Russian troops are now walking. In the outskirts of Damascus, Russian troops are now walking. The only thing that Trump and Putin are in agreement is that they don't want to see Iran getting stronger right here. Putin, by the way, took over Aleppo and forbid any Iranian soldier from walking in the streets of Aleppo. That was a big blow to the Bashar al-Assad regime. He wanted to have a big party over there and show the world that he won, and Vladimir Putin did not allow him to do that. However, the Iranians, although they were given the task or the order to leave Syria, not only that they never left, they are arming Hezbollah to their teeth, and they are here on the ground, and no one is going to stop them. Right behind me, 16 miles away, Russian troops, Iranian troops, and further north, Turkish troops are already on the ground. The Israeli communications systems around hears more Russians than Arabic, more Farsi than Arabic, and more Turkish than Arabic. Ladies and gentlemen, Ezekiel 38 and 39 is not a book, it's not a paper, it's reality in the Middle East. Right after that war, the Antichrist will rise in Europe and introduce peace to this world, to this part of the world. We're not planning on being here. I'm not planning on being here. Are you planning on being here? No. Exactly. We need to remember one thing. We are about to depart. We know where we're going. The question is, are you ready? Are you ready to call Yeshua, Jesus, to come and to return? The Bible says, as you know, that the Spirit and the bride say, come. We need to ask Him to come. We need to be ready if we want Him to come. And the challenge that I have from the border with Syria right now to all of you today, get ready. Look into your life. You know, not everyone that says that he's a Christian indeed is a Christian. We need to follow the Lord. We need to obey His word. We need to abide in Him. We need to trust in Him. We need to be in the word. And we need, all of us, to support Israel and be sheep and not goats. Once we're all on the same page and we call Him to return, He will return. And I want all of you to understand, I don't believe it's years from now. All because everything around me is actually testifying that it's very near. So the challenge that I have for you from the border, we hear booms, we hear gunshots, yet we feel safe. The children of God should not be afraid. We know where we're going. The question is not where you come from, is where you go to. It's not how you started, it's how you finish. And my challenge to all of us here and all of you that are watching it right now and will be watching it later on is really don't take things for granted and don't take things easy and don't push things aside. These are the most exciting times since the time of Jesus Christ, and all that he wants us is to be ready as the bride for the bridegroom to come. So from the top of Mount Bental on the Syrian border, we want all of us, maybe we can show the people, we want to tell you shalom, goodbye, we love you. Everybody. Shalom. By the way, do you feel threatened or afraid? No. Guys, these are 50 people that they don't even miss home. Let me tell you. So if you're watching here, and, yeah, you are home. And if you're watching right now and you are a relative of one of these people, they eat good, they sleep good, they have so much fun. And unfortunately, I'm saying that while all around us, things are very different. So from the top of the Golan Heights, I want to wish you a great week ahead of you. And I want you to remember, get ready. And at the same time, we need to remember to keep chanting that which I told my group, and I always tell it online. We need to pray more than ever before, not only that we will get ready, but our family will be ready. And we want to remember that which Joshua said in chapter 24 to the people of Israel. Whatever you do, whether you're ready or not, I urge you to be ready. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. There's a lot of power in these words. Proclaim them, speak them, and say that to your family members every day until we're out of here. We want us and our children and our families to serve the Lord. God bless you all, and shalom from Israel. Bye-bye.